message in its melody. Sweetest lyrics that I ever heard. There's a message in the songs of birds. Tomorrow is a bird sang this song to me. There was a message in its melody. Sweetest lyrics that I ever heard. There's a message in the songs of birds. Tomorrow is another day. Living is the only way tomorrow's gonna ever come. Listen to the words of the song. Everything gonna be alright. Everything is gonna be.
That one was perfect. So, for those of you who joined us about an hour ago, and we abruptly disconnected, I do apologize to you for that. But, it's technical difficulties. I think I can control everything, but every now and then the universe has to remind me that I'm just a mere mortal and I can't control everything. So that was one of those things. So thank you for hanging out with us and waiting for us to come back, because this is going to be a fantastic show. Okay. So welcome to a Sip of Inspiration podcast. I'm Stephanie Wilson-Coleman, known as the Empowerment Doctor. And as you all know, I always say life is much too short to drink cheap champagne. So my website is champagneconnection.com. Go out there. You'll see all kinds of helpful things, previous podcasts. You'll see other documents and things that I put out there that I think that can help you have a great life. Okay. As you know, I love to do those kinds of things. So go out there and visit and pick up some merchandise if you feel like it. Okay. And some of it's pretty cool. So you want to pick up some of that. So what's wrong with life is too short to drink cheap champagne t-shirts? So just be sure you pick up one of those. So joining me today is Nancy Hart. Nancy Hart's a good spirit too, because she went with me for this last 30 minutes trying to figure out what was going on too. So we really are going to have to laugh out loud on this one, y'all. But Nancy has written a wonderful book, and I'm going to read her bio because, I don't want to mess it up, because she has done some great things and she's experienced some things that some of us have too. So, or as I always like to say, that maybe one of your friends experienced it. So you'll have something that you can share with them. So Nancy Hart is the author of Whispers, Sinners, and Saints. It's the harrowing true story of child abuse, strength, resilience, and unwavering faith. Introducing Nancy Hart, there she is, a journey of resilience, redemption, and divine connection. She's going to help us step into her extraordinary world. She has a great world where every trial and tribulation has been transformed into a testament of strength, resilience, and unwavering faith. So, Nancy, I'm so glad to have you here. This is absolutely fantastic. And a lot of us have gone through some of the same things, but some of us just sort of keep it hidden and keep it quiet because we don't want to be embarrassed about it and we don't want to talk about it. And sometimes we're still reliving that. But Nancy is going to teach us and talk about how to laugh out loud. So, welcome to a Sip of Inspiration podcast. So let's show you a little bit. I want them to know what the Whispers part of your book is. I think that that's really cool.
Oh, okay, sure, great. So the title, Whispers, Sinners, and Saints, is actually the names of what I gave the people in my book. So Whispers is my divine connection, and he speaks to me in my right ear.
Oh, cool.
Yes. Yes.
Oh.
So still with me today. And if it was not for Whispers, giving me insight, answers, uplifting things that he would say to me, that I'm never alone as long as I know that I have him by my side. And he's proven He's proven it to me. He has proven it to me. Since I'm a little child, I really feel blessed that I have connected with him.
That is fantastic. You also have traveled 6 out of the 7 continents.
Yes.
So how did that help your growth? And what did you learn?
Oh, yeah. So, yes, I have. The only place I haven't been to is Antarctica, and I figure Colorado, Chicago. We have enough cold places.
Oh no, see, I need to go to Antarctica to see the penguins, so we got to get together, okay?
Yeah. Oh, okay, all right, we can do that.
All right.
The cruise coming up, huh?
That sounds like a cruise, right?
I give you my number, so I'm game.
Okay.
I find that, to me, I'm driven. I'm called a xenophile. I found that word in the dictionary. I do like to open up the dictionary when I'm bored, or I even get a daily word every day. And that one stuck with me because it's a study of cultures. And America is, very interesting. Each state has its different flavor. I've had the good fortune of living in 3 different states, and New York City, Atlanta. I'm out here in Colorado. I don't know. I'm kind of like thinking I could go somewhere else. I'm like itchy. I want to go travel. I'm going to go look at the penguins. But there's just so much to learn out there, so much to see, that the more you see, the less I find that I know, and the hungrier I get. My curiosity just, says, come on, you want some more, you know it. It's like when you go to a smorgasbord, where you go to a friend's party and they got all the desserts out on the table. Why not try one you haven't tried one yet? You might be pleasantly surprised. I find the same way with people.
Yes, it is interesting to travel different places. Colorado is pretty exciting. I like Colorado. I do. I like it. It's like I like the mountains. You're right. I never thought about it like that. It's just so many wonderful things, and you learn so much more about yourself too.
Yes.
If you travel.
Yes, I learned so much about myself, and it's always a revelation. It's always, when I travel, I personally always make it into like a spiritual mecca. So there's not one church that if I could squeeze that in, that's like first on the list. And if I pass by a church, I'm going in. If I'm going to any kind of holy place, I'll go to a Buddhist temple. I don't care, Jewish temple. I don't care. But I will say this, I have a little thing that I like to do. I'd rather go when there are no people inside.
Oh, okay.
That's when I can connect with the divine. When I sit quietly in my pew and I put my hands over my head, over my eyes, and I sit there for about a minute or two, I get the presence that says to me, we are one, and then I get a message.
Cool. Yeah. So how can others become that close to the presence that's inside of them? Because a lot of people struggle with that. Like, as a matter of fact, as close as I think I am, today I was saying, okay, God, it's like, what's going on? I call it infinite kindness. It's like,
nice.
I'm not getting a word. Yes, So what can people start to do so that they can too become more connected to that inner source, to that power that's going to help them through anything they need help with?
Yeah, I actually now find that being alone, some people suffer from being alone, and you got to ask why. Why can't you be alone and listen to the voice that's talking to you? Meditation is so important because it makes you control your mind as opposed to your mind controlling you. And when I say that, when you got those negative thoughts, I don't look good enough to go out today. I can't even get out there, or so-and-so says this. And so, what? It doesn't matter. You got to stop that. It's like a trick. You got to be able to see what flashed in front of you and say, wait a second, let me hold on to that. And let me write that voice down. Whose voice was that? Because that is not my voice. That might be like your mother's voice, your father's voice. It could be a grandfather's voice. You know what I'm saying? Somebody
Right.
that puts you down. And then from there, you're like, blah, blah, blah. No, I can't go out. I've got to stay home. But when you catch it, you write it down, you make a note of that, and you go, okay, that I've got to pay attention to when that comes in again, because I got to love myself, because I am in control of this entire galaxy, AKA body. I am in control of what goes on here. And the mind has its own way of running away, and it has to have the second mind get a control of it. Get a control of that.
Okay.
Yeah. And always remember, hey, that negative thought, then once you've worked on that and go, where did that come from? That's my mom talking. For me, it was my mother. So I'm going to say that. Whoo, I'd say that's not right. That I didn't like it when she said those things to me. Now, she's not even here. You know what? What do you mean I can't have another piece of chocolate cake? All right, I'm going out and having me the best chocolate cake I can find and make me feel good. That's a little kid in me, make that little kid happy. Yes.
That is so cool. I never thought about writing it down and then remembering who said that.
Yeah, you
I
have
sometimes
crazy things on the refrigerator. I traveled here. I traveled there. You know what I have? That's the one I got to work on this week. And I put it on the refrigerator and I go, yeah, I can have a second chocolate cake. Mom said I shouldn't. That sounds good to me. And there you go. And then once I have it down, I have a little like folder I'll put it in. And when it's time for prayer, time for thinking, I'll look at that and I'll go, now how just was I to myself? How just was I? Have I worked on this? If I feel I've worked on it, I can tear it up. I could throw it away and go, I've got that one handled. I'm good.
Fantastic. Cool. So having survived things like child abuse and things like that, how did you get to the other side of that? Because I too was abused as a child. So how do you get to the other side of that?
I think that for me, I remember whispers. I would be beat, and it was really bad. I mean, I was beat unconscious many times. Sometimes I catch myself, and I say all the time. Anytime my mother saw me, she beat me so much that I wouldn't see until the next day. And I've got broken bones. My jaw, if I go, they tell me it's. I was in a bad motorcycle accident. My back is the same way. My neck is the same way. I mean, we could go on, but I would sit quietly and I would ask. I kept pushing through the pain. I pushed through the pain and I kept asking, why is it that my mother beats me? How am I supposed to learn how to be a mother like this? Like I'm only 5 years old. I got a long way to go before I'm 18, because mom told me I got to be 18 when you're out, and she smacked me on the ground, boom. And I was like, wow, I can't do the math, but I know that that's a long time. And I said I kept pushing, why? And I literally would hear it in my right ear. You will learn how to be a good mother by learning what not to do. And just because I got that answer, maybe I made more of it than most people do. Maybe I needed, because I had no brother, no sister. I had nobody. We were my mother and me. I don't even know my father is. Okay. So, except the Holy Father, that's my father, right?
Right.
And, so I think every time she smacked me, every time she yelled at me, every time she did something to me, I took it as she's pushing me back to the hands of God. And that's how I found it every single time. Yeah.
Okay, that is fantastic. So, as you started to write your book,
Yes.
okay, what was your inspiration?
My inspiration was at age 4, I knew I was going to write this book. And that was because my mother beat me in front of everybody at the park, outside of the park. And there was hot dog stands and people standing in the hot dog line. And nobody, they might have looked for a second. They looked away. And I just felt so, again, that like, what is wrong with people? Like, I would have said something. I would have called the cops. I would have done something, and I felt like, what is going on? So he came in, Whispers came in, and he said, at that age, he says, you are going to, everything will be all right when you write. Well, I'm 4 years old. I don't know all right with right. So I'm pacing back and forth going, what is all right with right? And then I go, oh, everything will be all right. Everything will be okay once I write. And the reason I'm going to write is because that's why I got to go through all this suffering, because I got to write this because there's other people like me, other kids out there like me. I'm not the only one. And maybe I can help them. They will feel at least they're not alone in this world, and they're not the only one that this happens to, and that you can rise up from the muck, and like the seed of a lotus, you can blossom and become a beautiful flower.
That's fantastic. So that is fantastic. So now let's go to the laugh out loud. So what does one who laughs loudest masters pain best mean to you? And why is it your philosophy? I love that. So you may begin to see that. It says, one of my dear friends said.
Yes. After I finished writing the book, I said, you know what? That is really the one who laughs loudest masters pain the best, because, some people have really, they're very blessed, and I don't hold nothing against them. I actually would like to have that life. And the next time I come back with not so much trial and tribulation, there's nothing wrong with that. They earned it in some kind of way. It's good. But I found that I have a choice in life. I can either be bitter and be one of those people that sit in a corner and go, wah, 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 and be ugly, and nobody wants to come up to me and nobody wants to say hello. And I could be letting my tribulations, instead of them become lessons, they could be my ruin. They could make me bitter. So instead, I prefer to be better. And who is better than the one that laughs loudest? And masters their pain, right? That's
right.
Yes, that's how I come up with that philosophy. Absolutely. Yeah.
So what is the purpose that you wish Whispers, Sinners, and Saints to have on the readers? And then tell us where we can get a copy of it. So.
Oh, great. Okay, you got that's very good. Well, the purpose of this book, so through the power of my own story, I hope to inspire readers to explore the transformative power of faith, hope, and unbreakable human spirit. That is what I want. Yes. And because we can all be transformed. We can all be, and there's a new term that they're throwing out now. It's called alchemy. So when you could take bad and all the bad that's flung at you, and you could still just, like I said, we got two shoulders, just go, okay, you know what? That's a little dirt. All right. I'm good. I'm going to look in the mirror. I'm good. Okay. So that is what it's about. Now you can get my book on Amazon. You can get it anywhere, but Amazon is the easiest because I do have it in Audible in my own voice. Yeah, I did that. And you go to my website, nancyhart.com. That's probably the easiest way. Or I'd put my name in HEART, Nancy Hart, for Whispers, Sinners, and Saints. And please definitely reach out to me on Facebook, on Instagram, and that new funny one that's got that's called Threads. I'm on all of that.
Okay. So when you sat down to write it, did it seem like it was writing itself, or was it easy for you? Because you had to relive some of the things you probably thought about when you were writing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Very interesting, because as soon as I could write, I started writing little pieces. And literally what I did as a child, because there was no TV and I had an hour and a half, 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours to get to school on the city bus, I would go over everything in my mind every day, because I have no siblings. I had a lot of time on my hands, right? Other than studying, I studied, but I already had a lot, and I'd keep going and answering the where, what, who, and how, and the smell of everything and the touch of everything. And I would go over it. So as soon as I could write, I'd write little things down on a little book. And then I would just keep rewriting it and rewriting it. Writing it some of it was actually whispers coming through. And the hardest parts, like I wrote now second book and third book, which I don't have the names for them because the editor is having one, and I got to wait till she finishes that, and then I get the third. But the harder it gets, like with the second book,
Mm-hmm.
I put it in poetry form.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Yes. Because I did get abducted by 15 boys in my second book, and it was 15 more come in, and I got away. And yeah, but see, even something as horrible as that, I knew that was universe sending me whispers. And whispers told me that day, you do not want to go to the park that day. But I listened to him. I went back to the beauty parlor where my mother was for safety, and she picked me up like this, literally, and threw me out into the snow, and there was nobody in the park. So I said, okay, how do I make this? You have to work at being a positive person. You have to say always, it's a little bit of work. It doesn't just come, but now it's like natural for me. It's a nice comforting blanket that I can always go to and pull around myself. And I said, well, how do I make this horrible, horrible situation into a good situation? And it was like, you see, he told me that I shouldn't go, and he was right. And after that, I never doubted him, but I listened to him over anybody else or anything else. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to, I know sometimes I'll get information, as you said, and it says, well, no, I want to do it this way. It says, well, you're welcome to, but that's not what I said. Then I do it my way, then I come back and have to do it that way anyway. And I remember saying one day, infinite kindness, I'm causing myself far too much work. I'm going to do what you say do first.
Yeah. And that's a very good point, because that's where I think a lot of people make a mistake. They go, but my mama said. And then, if you could take a mental kind of note or write it down, keep a journal. But I like to do those things and just say, I got to see what happens if I do this. And he's told me to do this. So like, I even remember, I'm just having a flashback. Like I remember, I got out of the tenement, was 6 flights up that we had to walk, and I'm in New York City. I'm a kid, and I heard whispers say, now listen, the bus is going to be in an accident, but don't worry, you'll be okay. I go, well, maybe I shouldn't go. He says, no, you'll be okay. So when I was in the bus, and there was an accident, and people are screaming and hollering. Here I'm sitting, and they go, "We were in an accident." I go, "Mm-hmm, I know."
Right. We're gonna be okay.
I know. And I'm like as cool as a cucumber going, this is great. Wow, this is wonderful. I'm taking a horrible situation going, but this is great. It really happened. Yeah.
So how do you distinguish that voice though? A lot of people have problems distinguishing the voice when infinite kindness is giving them information and they just don't know what to do with that or who that is. So how do you handle that?
Mm-hmm. I call it's like a muscle. You don't use your muscle in your arm here, it's going to atrophy. I've used this muscle since I'm very, very young. And I write about that in the first book. I'm 5 months old when I realized I've already been in contact with Whisper. So did I ever abandon him? I left him for 10 years and I saw the difference in the voice. If it's a good voice, I say it's like a good piece of cake. You want more. You're going to listen to it. It's going to serve you well. But if it's like, if you're intolerant, what do you call like lactose intolerant, you don't go drinking milk. So if it's a bad voice, you hear, anything that says, oh, that's a bad person. No, that's not God talking. Unless he's warning you, he'll say it differently. He'll say, you might not want to hug that person. And you can ask him, why not? Well, he might say, and it won't because he's got a cold or something. For me as an empath, he'll tell me, you won't feel good after. You just won't feel good after. And I go, okay, let's test that out. And you test it. It's just like you test it. You listen and you test it. And before you know it, you realize that is the voice that you can go ahead and pay attention to. If it says something negative, like, now look at what she's wearing over there. No, that's not God talk. And that's like something from somewhere else. And that's nobody you want to listen to. And there are people that need medication for dark voices, as I will call that, schizophrenia. And there is a total difference. There's a very big difference. If it's God has a very helpful, wisdomous, you say why, and he might not shout that answer to you right away. Sit down, be quiet, and just relax. Ring some bells, do whatever that makes you feel comfortable and is inviting to good energy around you, right? Yeah.
So the title of your book, we know Whispers is God or infinite kindness.
Yes.
What is the sinners and saints? Who are they?
Oh my. Well, so I feel a little reserved here, but I know some people, they might say, how can she say that? But listen, my mother was the sinner because she beat me. And through the book, I call her a monster. And I did also, Whisper saved me from a child molester because I listened to whispers. And because of that, I was saved. And I found that out because there was a little girl that I was friends with, and she told me, you got to read the book. Okay. So there were some sinners. And my mother was, because when you hurt the innocent, my grandmother tells me, you're not a monster, you're a sinner. See, so monsters to monster, like bad people to bad people, those are monsters. But when a monster hurts an innocent, well, how innocent is a child, right? Mm-hmm. Then you're a sinner. Yeah. And my saint is my wonderful grandma, my wonderful, wonderful grandma. And before her, there was a lady named Mama Cass, who wasn't my mother, but I called her Mama Cass. And she took care of me for a little while. And she was the first person, even though my mother had to pay for her, but at least she was nice and didn't yell derogatory words. Yeah, expletives, as they say. Yeah. So I appreciate that, and I'm so thankful that I have those saints in my life.
So, what's something surprising within your pages?
Okay. So, having written these books, I realized that what is surprising is that, for one, the intelligence and the awareness, the keen perception of an infant or a child should not be undervalued. That is what I find very surprising. And then what is surprising is, here I was an abused child and all of this, but the way I characterize the people that I knew, I write them in quite a humorous light, and which apparently seems to have become my coping method of dealing with a traumatic world. So those were surprising. That was surprising.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So, how did you, as a little girl through an adult, I know you've probably have different coping mechanisms as you were going through different things. What are some of the mechanisms that you use that people who are listening who may be having the same experience, or not necessarily the same experience, but a similar experience? What can they use to sort of get through it, get over it, and actually rise to a point to where they can see? I think that once we're able to rise to that point and learn those deep lessons that are being taught, then we can heal, because the other person needed some healing too. So, and once we can understand that, we could probably do okay. So what would you say to that person?
I would say to that person, it's very important to realize that you have this body. You have this body, and you are the ruler of your body. You are the brain, runs this whole ship here. You are the captain of your ship. And so when you find somebody overruling your ship, you need to set your boundaries. You need to realize, this is my ship. And if it doesn't feel comfortable to you, it's not who you are. Now, that doesn't mean you have to get angry about it. That doesn't mean you have to, speak a certain kind of nasty way. It just is like a little tap on your shoulder that says, you know what, that's not for me. I need to find a different kind of, maybe even group of people.
Right.
I will say one, it's a lot of people, they're going out and they're drinking, and that's what they do on Friday night. Come on, let's go and let's get drinking. Let's get our drink on. And there's no problem with having a glass of beautiful champagne and enjoying. But then, you got that fine line where you see somebody getting so sloppy, and then you got to, you pray for them and you hope that they're better, or there's got to be some kind of reason. It's more than. Everything is a sign of, pay attention to those signs. Everything is a sign. If you not acting right, or somebody's not acting right to you, you have the right to say something about it. For example, I go and I play cards, or I play a game with somebody. You want to learn somebody. You don't need to go and have drinks with them to learn about them. You can sit down and have a card game, and you will learn everything. Do they cheat? What kind of loser are they? Are they helping you learn the game? Are they all about, I got to win, and no matter what you do, you're a loser and I'm the winner? You want to find out about somebody, you sit down and yes. Also how they eat. That's important. That's something.
Oh, yes. That tells you a lot. Yes, it does.
They don't pass the plate. That's there for everybody. They think it's theirs. Oh, I'll take that. And it's like, well, hello. You learn a lot about people. learn the boundaries, learn that, listen, when you learn what feels good and what feels bad, it's kind of like, then you don't do that to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Do you yell at other people? Now, if you don't yell at other people, then why do you let other people yell at you? Why do you let other people tell you what to do all the time? Now, you might say, oh, I like that. Well, then you have to ask yourself, okay, now we could pick and choose our battles, but is that because you really were never given the freedom to think if you really like that? Or you were just told, no, you're going to go and do this. Okay, but what about you can be doing that? Maybe that is more fun. How do you know? Right?
Right.
Learn about yourself. Go take a trip somewhere.
And speaking of taking trips, you have visited a lot of places, as we talked about earlier, and learned a lot of things. So,
yeah.
So, are there things that caused you to change how you think about the world and how you see yourself in the world?
Yeah, from learning very early on, I never spoke when I was younger. I was a very introverted child, but I was not allowed to speak. And I think, honestly, I'm known to be authentic, but I will just throw it out on the table. For me, I didn't get to know who I really was until I was divorced and my children left home. And I was alone. And I said, wow, this is something else. This is nice. This is quiet. I can sleep in all these different beds. And if I make the bed, that's good. If I don't make the bed, that's good. It was the first time I didn't have anybody yelling at me, pulling at me. And I said, this is my time, to figure it out. So how lovely is that if I would have had a mom that would have let me just decide who I was and embraced who I was. I don't know. I think that's the greatest gift you could give somebody is freedom. What I did with my kids is I let them go. And I said, if they want to come back, they come back, but it's not a locked cage. Yeah.
Fantastic. So are they having fun finding out who they really are? And do they know that after years who you are changes?
Well, there is a thing though. We do have a Hungarian expression. That's a language I learned, which not too many people know. But we have an expression which I love, and it's every 7 years you are a new person. And if you think about it, from 0 to 7, look at what you are. If you go from a blob to an actual being that knows how to, do more than just move their arms. 7 to 14, now you're a teenager. 21, you're finished college or you finished your education. You're starting your life. 28, you're, really out there on the world on your own. I mean, think about that. Every 7 years, you're a new person. So if you think about it that way, you go, okay, you know what? Now I'm in a little bit of a rut. This too shall pass, right? Whether it's good or bad, this too shall pass. And on that note, going back to something you asked me before, a trick I use for myself is I don't go for the highs. Because I don't celebrate it's time to, sell. You know what? Every day is the same. I turn 60, I turn 50, I turn 70. I wrote a book. Did I throw a party? I didn't throw a party. That way, if you don't have highs, you don't have lows. And in Buddhism, they teach to have equanimity. Keep it all the same.
Right.
That's huge. It's huge. Every day should be you wake up and just be happy you woke up. Oh, whoa, I woke up again today. That's good because I just went to call my girlfriend the other day and she's not around because she passed away. I'm here. I got to make it worth it. What can I do to make myself happy today? But not have those highs and not have those lows. Just keep it the same.
Yes, I think my high is I do 5 miles hikes every day. And I just absolutely love the animals, the trees. So I decided that I was going to take a picture of the beautiful trees. And then, so, so my husband did it for me that I was not a good photographer. But anyway,
You know what?
I
If
got
you
my
have a
pictures
bad
anyway.
day, you have a bad day. Anybody have a bad day? I know they try it. You got to try it. And there's power in belief,
Mm-hmm.
And so if you have a bad day, because we all do, you go and you hug a beautiful tree and you say, I'm going to give it to you to handle, and the universe will handle it for me.
That's right. I got trees set aside for that. As a matter of fact,
That's awesome. I love
I
it.
got trees set aside for that. So it's amazing. So if I'm having a bad day, I said, yeah, I got to go this way to walk today. He said, oh, why are you going over there? Don't worry about it. It's just a different path. Because that's where the trees are that I hug, right? See?
That's right. That's right. And it's so much better than like some people have, like with my mom, she would see me and she would beat me. It was like, no, it would have been nicer if she would have seen a tree, picked a tree and just hugged it or beat the tree. The tree can handle it, if you need to, make it into firewood,
Right.
but leave the people alone.
So, as you were growing up with your mother,
Mm-hmm.
did you reach a point to where there was some forgiveness or some conversation about what happened? Because we do know that as we're going through stuff, some people are really going through stuff. And what I'm learning now is that at certain, I guess, certain ages, they couldn't talk about it
Mm-hmm.
at all, right? Whereas,
Mm-hmm.
my mother would say, I talk about everything. He said, don't give you the secrets to the nation. You don't talk about it. Yep.
That's right. No, I have a beautiful story about that. I was I used to travel with my mother, and I had to forgive her every single day so I can go on to the next day. I learned forgiveness very early. Forgiveness and compassion is how you fight anger. That's how you, that's like the ointment that just makes the anger dissolve. So we were in, Thailand, and there was a forgiveness thing where they had a lotus flower with a long stem, a beautiful bowl with water, within which the lotus flower was in the bowl. And a ritual you do to forgive somebody was you take that flower and you hit them with it, like you go like this with it. So I took that flower and I said, listen, I'm going to forgive you. I've never said it, Mom, but I'm going to be smacking you upside the head with this flower in front of everybody while I'm shouting, I forgive you. So I kind of smacked that water on her like it was a pope, with the water.
Uh-huh.
And the water is going, and she goes, you forgive me? And I go, oh, I forgive you. And she goes, and she was touched because she knew at that point is when I realized she actually knew that she was not what she should have been. But there was something dark in her that was just, it just would rear its ugly head. And I don't think she really had a control over it.
Mm-hmm.
But I forgave her. And I still, every time I think of that, I love it because I kind of went crazy with it. No, we were laughing. And she goes, well, I have to forgive you too. And I go, listen, you could smack me upside. That's nothing compared. You took chairs to my head and let's go. So I have learned, like anger, like I said, anger is an obscuration. It's something that holds you back. And if you don't forgive, it's not that you're forgiven for them. You're forgiven for you. You're forgiving them so that you don't have illness and disease and that bitterness inside of you to make that ugly person. Because if you're like that, you're going to keep drawing negative people to you.
Mhm.
And if you're a positive person, you're going to draw that to you. We're like magnets for each other, you know? I mean, how else would I met a nice lady like you with a good heart and that laughter shining through? I mean, really.
Speaking of laughter, what role has laughter played in healing and in helping you connect to others? Because I think laughter is just the best healing balm you could have. And if people would just stop and laugh at some of the things that they do and some of the mistakes that they do, they'll realize that they're just human. You're not going to be perfect. So you may as well laugh about it.
You know, I didn't make it up, but somebody said fake it till you make it.
Right.
And that is so true. You just, you know, you got to find, and when you know, if you go through a hard thing and you know, when the second you can laugh at it, that's the second you're healed from it. That's the shackle that just dropped on the floor so you could keep moving. I mean, there's laughter yoga. If you don't know how to fake it till you make it, go find yourself a laughter yoga program. And that is a hoot. You have to laugh. Now, when you hear people's laugh, it's very telling too. Some people laugh, they sound like a hyena crying. And that's really sad. Breaks my heart when I hear that, because they really aren't knowing how to laugh. They're really fake. You know, it's a faked forced laugh.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're crying. They're really crying inside. I heard it today. Somebody was crying like that. They were laughing, but no, to me, I heard a soul was crying. They haven't released or got in touch with some of the triggers that get them to the dark side, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they missing out on some happiness. Yeah, get in touch with your kitty side. You know, do things that make you like 5, 6, and abandon all the what you can and cannot do, as long as it doesn't hurt anybody. Adler's first rule in psychology: doesn't hurt anybody. It's gonna do you good.
That's right. So I know one of the things I started to do during the pandemic is I noticed kids were doing little hopscotch paintings on the sidewalk, right? So I said, oh, this is cool. So I decided that I wouldn't pass one without jumping the hopscotch, right? Just like now. I hadn't done that in years, but it just looked like fun, right? Nobody was having fun. So I would do that and go looking forward, and then I would jump through the hopscotch stuff. So one day a lady stopped. She says, my grandchildren, put that stuff down there just so you can have something to jump through. I said, because they love seeing you do that. Now I got to learn how to do that.
There you go. See, there you
but
go.
it keeps you laughing. It just keeps you laughing about stuff.
You see, you just gave license to that woman that she can go ahead and be her child self. You just gave her license.
That's right.
You just needed somebody to start to do it. There you go.
Right. So tell us a little bit about your daily routine and how you stay grounded every day.
How do I?
Because that's what most of us mess up. We start getting grounded for a while, or maybe we do it on the weekend, but we don't do it every day. So at least some people don't do it every day. So what's your daily routine and weekly routine?
Okay, well, the first thing is when I wake up, I catch my mind, and I always say, today is going to be a great day. Even if I have to say, like, the fake it till you make it, I might be woken up and, my dog woke me up hours old. Doesn't matter. I say, today, I'm telling you, it's going to be a great day. Do I say it out loud? No, I'm thinking it in my head because I live alone. But if I said it out loud, it doesn't matter either. If I want to, I can. Then I go and I get my dogs. I take them downstairs and I let them outside. And then I say, thank you very much. I give 5 thank yous. Could be all different things. Just that, hey, my ears are in the right place. I got my nose in the middle of my face. I'm walking better today. Who am I going to call? Who's going to make me happy? What can I do to make me happy? This is very important. What can I do today to make me happy? And that doesn't mean I got to go shopping. That usually means, you know what? I have a thing. I love to ring bells. So I ring my bells.
Okay.
I ring my bells. And every time I ring my bell, I have one in the kitchen. I have one all along the house. I learned this in a Jain, Jain, temple, that when you ring a bell, you give an angel its wings. So I love to ring, that song, Ring My Bell.
Yes, yes, yes.
Ring my bell. Well, yeah, that's what I do. And then I got my incense. I light my incense. I light my candles. And each time I feel that I'm doing something for me that feels good, I'll spray different, like this is lavender that I love. I smell really good whenever I go somewhere. They go, man, you smell. And I go, what? And they go, no, you smell good. I go, okay. Then I have 2 temples. I have one outside, I have one inside, and I do my prayer there. I have angels everywhere in my house, and they're to remind me that my angels are always with me. When I get in trouble, or I think I'm in trouble, or I get that thought, or like before we started, I said, okay, angels, let's make this work. Come around me, put your wings around me, and let's have a great time here,
Uh-huh. I did the same thing. We had technical difficulties. Like, okay, now you all know I don't do technical stuff well. Yeah, so you're gonna have to guide me through this. I'm sitting here to see right now what happened to the internet. Who took it?
Oh, I know. And I told you what I think happened. I really think that your tech guy who passed away, he wanted to make sure that you missed him. So he stopped calling in and he took care of business. So
Right.
dedicate the show to him.
I know. He says, wait a minute, the rest of you know I've got to help her. She does not have a clue.
But you know what, too, is very nice. Like, we might not all have time. So these are just like 1 second, 2 second things. And then you can, because the guilt might come in, and it's not all about guilt. Just wear things that make you feel good. Like, this was my grandmother's, and she wore this. And this always makes me feel good. And I have this whole necklace thing where I got a little Buddha, I got a Hamza hand, and I got this little heart here that I bought from my mother that she beat the licking daylights out of me for. But she's not around anymore, but the heart is, and I forgave her. So it's all good. So that's some of the stuff that I do. I do Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. I tune into spiritual prayer, and that I can't miss more than one. I know I'm not the same. I just need, they'll say something and it'll be like, yeah, I heard it a million times, but that's the one I need to, that made me feel good right now,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you guys, remember to surround yourself with things that make you feel good, things that uplift you. And as we've just learned, they don't have to be big things. They just need to be things that are important to you that make you feel good. So keep those in your space. And as I always say, I tell you to write a brag list, to keep a list of things that you've done well, that you're proud of. And you keep that thing with you everywhere you go, because there will be an incident. When you're not going to feel good, but you got it there, you don't have to stop and think about it. It's already written down to do that. And I want you to find activities, and like Nancy just talked about, find activities that aren't expensive to do, but they make you feel good. There's a lot of that out there. Sitting in your temple and listening to music that you love, and just laughing about stuff. That's like absolutely fantastic.
I do want to add, people gotta look at when you walk to somebody's house, or you have somebody over, or you meet people, you have your own little group, and you're together, and you take what do you call it? Like a look at yourself and go, okay, I'm in a really good headspace today. So let's see how I feel after I'm with these people. And if I feel the same, good, then these people are good for you to hang around. If I feel even better, oh my goodness, well, you found, like the elixir here. That's fantastic. But if you feel that one person is making you feel, putting you down, saying something derogatory, getting under your skin some kind of way, you got to have that like little banner that runs across your brain and says, don't take it personal. She's just showing me who she is. And you know what? I'll pray for her. She's in my prayers, but I don't have to be showing her all my this and this, because she's just going to keep dragging and pulling, and she's unhappy that I'm happy, So watch who you surround yourself with as well.
Oh my God. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you have to do that. So, and sometimes you'll find yourself a loner, but that's okay, because whatever you call that inner spirit that I call infinite kindness would love to have some time to talk to you about some stuff, to give you some information and some guidance about things that you can do. So, so how long did it take you to write your book?
Okay, so
it's been a progress, but serious. When you finally got serious about it, how long did it take you to finish it?
Well, it's hard for me to say, because I really started writing it with full-heartedness when I was married, and things kind of hit the fan. Things were not good, and so I wrote so I can connect with Whispers. And so I wrote, and I had a little bit of a challenge because of my Hungarian, and I'd speak to my mother every day. It took me, would write and write and write. And it was backwards and it was terrible. And I said, no, I really have to teach myself how to write. And then when I moved to Colorado, went on a trip with my daughter. So like we're talking, I started doing that writing. She was about 10, and she's 35. And she says, Mom, you have all these stories. You stopped writing. You got to write your book. Well, at that point, when she said that, I wrote it in 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it was like somebody finally believed in me. I just needed that little push, right? And here it is, like, hey, I'm just human. And I noticed what I said right there. I needed her to tell me. And that's why I say we don't need other people. But, I am human and I am still learning.
Well, sometimes I think we know we need to do it, but sometimes somebody has to give you that push so that you will make time to do it. So, yeah. And that was your daughter. So we are grateful for her, because I know that this book is fantastic.
Yes.
So the name of the book again is
Whispers, Sinners, and Saints by Nancy Hart. And you can find it on nancyhart.com. That's the website. And there's trailers there, all kinds of goodies on there. Look me up on the Facebook and Instagram, Nancy Hart Author. I'd love to hear from all y'all. I keep posting all kinds of fun things.
Fantastic. So we have actually come to the end of this podcast, and it was great. I tell you, in spite of the start, it's like, guess what? I guess I learned infinite kindness, that I'm not in control all the time. Okay, thank you.
That's right. And I'm going to end with saying, anything with power over you is what teaches you how to take your power back.
Okay. So I want to thank you for being my guest. I really enjoyed it, and I am going to get a copy of this book because I think it's going to be incredibly exciting to read, and so that there'll be some things that we all can implement.
Thank you very much. It was a sip of inspiration, Stephanie, seeing you today.
Thank you. As I always say when we close, may this day offer you just what you need in each unfolding moment. Trust your greatness, embrace your power. And even if you don't trust it or embrace it, do it anyway. Okay. With the right pair of shoes, I can accomplish anything. I want you to be inspired until further notice. Just celebrate everything. Do not go gently into that good night. I want you to find a heel worth dying for and take it. Be the person that you have been waiting for and make today so awesome that yesterday gets jealous. And above all else, I want you to do it your way. I'm Stephanie Wilson-Coleman, known as the Empowerment Doctor. And as I always say, life is too short to drink cheap champagne. Thank you, Nancy. And we wish we are seeing that book as being a bestseller. So thank you for being with me now. So you guys have a great time no matter what's happening. So bye now.
Bye-bye.